Hey there guys, this is Obsidian Chill. Got another video for today. This is coming from the test server. I wanted to cover what's going to be more than likely, or 99.9% likely, the last changes to cover to heat vision and Solar Amplifier. Because if you haven't been following the forums, you're missing out on AVTV's acting like a child and throwing a temper tantrum because he's not getting his way, because his way is moronic. But let's cover the actual changes here. So I'll put them up on the screen here beside. So Solar Amplifier, change Solar Amplifier to where burn is applied to the primary target instantly. Should work like baseline heat vision. Fix an issue where Solar Amplifier was accidentally splitting damage over time, which is the dot. And fix an issue where Solar Amplifier explosion was splitting damage on primary target. So let's cover what that actually means. So one of the drawbacks to the initial heat vision, so for example, if I take off Solar Amplifier right here, the regular heat vision, you could hit it, jump cancel it, and then you have that burning tick applied right away. So for whatever reason, if you had to cancel it, or if you didn't want to do the entire duration, at least you still had a little bit of damage because it was applying that burning tick for basically free damage. But when you had Solar Amplifier, that stopped. So you had to do the entire duration for that to actually apply that burning tick. Not sure if it said there. So you got the 10%. So basically, as soon as a rank 80, you didn't get that burning tick anymore. You had to wait to the end of heat vision to get that burning. But now, so you can see, Solar Amplifier is on. You get that burning tick right away. So Solar Amplifier is on. This is the blue heat vision. So you get that burning tick right away. So it's not like, I'm not trying to justify that's like some giant change and it's like massive damage increase, but I mean still it's a damage increase because you're getting a burning tick right away. The other thing that changes, before, if you saw my previous video, you'll see the dots are ticking a lot less because the dots themselves are splitting damage. So you see my dots hitting for like 200 or 300. If you go to my previous video, now they're hitting like properly in the thousands again. That's because instead of the damage splitting on multiple targets, it was splitting on everything. So basically just, like split damage, switch to all. So now the dots are properly splitting again. So you have that damage. So it's what changed with heat vision. It's going to do more damage than you saw in my previous video. Is it going to do anywhere near the damage that it was before? No, because that's the point. So like I said before, I do have a question, honestly. I read like most of the comments. I've been reading the comments on the forums, but I do have a question to propose to be answered, and you guys can answer this in the comment section. All the people that wanted refunds because Solar Amplifier is being changed, what was your plans for like boss damage? I mean, so you're upset that they changed Solar Amplifier after a year because it was bugged. And I could list off like 50 things that have been bugged for years, and all of a sudden were changed. Except those were changed for good. So it's like, oh yeah, great, thanks for changing that. It's been broken for so long, but now they fixed something that was actually good to revert it back to where it was supposed to be. And now it's like, oh, screw the devs. they're always nerfing stuff. So tad bit hypocritical there. But yeah, I mean, what was your plan? I mean, so you'd sell Solar Amplifier to another artifact. What were you gonna do on boss damage? So, I mean, heat vision is still going to be on every single target rotation for might, except like 3 power sets. So unless the entire game decided to switch to like celestial light and like gadgets, because they're the only power sets that don't need heat vision. So I'm not quite following what your plan was there. And besides, if you're running like the amulet, if you're running this for damage, heat vision is one of the best abilities you'll have for the amulet, because one heat vision you get like 3, sometimes 4 stacks out of it. There's a lower power cost in the channel. So not quite following what your plan was, unless you never were going to DPS a boss ever again. And the Solar Amplifier is still the highest might artifact in the entire game. Amulet's got 5%, but it's base 1275. Philosopher's Stone has the same base might, 1785. But so Philosopher's Stone is only 4% might instead of Solar being 5. So you're missing out on the highest might stats you possibly can get. You're missing out on primary boss damage for 99% of might power sets. So it's still, this artifact is not going anywhere. It never was going anywhere. I'm not sure maybe if that was my fault, trying to like sensationalize the change, even though I mentioned that, heat vision was not changing for single target. You're still getting constant 20k ticks and the dot. So it's like, that's not changing for single target damage. But that's so, I don't know. this is a change that needed to happen for the health of the game. There's no one in this entire game that can justify having heat vision on every single ranged AoE rotation. I mean, that moron AV, he's got it on electric. Like, he's like trying to justify that, oh, you don't need heat vision, like you can do regular rotations just as well. But if you go to his Might Master guide in the forums, you go to electric, it's like the Wrath of God rotation is electric with heat vision. So, and if you go back to my electric guide, I don't even use heat vision on range because it's not necessary. It's cheesing the shit out of it. And the same thing when I did like my munitions one, sorry. I said, yeah, you could do a little bit more damage with this rotation with heat vision, but you don't need it as munitions. All of a sudden, you're just going to slow you down because munitions is meant to be mobile and not stand in the same position while you do heat vision for like 4 or 5 seconds. So it's one of those things where the irony is pretty thick and then the hypocrisy is pretty thick. But I mean, that's a change, whether you dislike it or like it. That's the thing. I mean, you're still using this artifact. This is still one of the better artifacts for the rank to 200. I mean, do you need the Cog at 200? No. You need the Tetra 200? No. Do you need like Amulet 200? I mean, it's a 1% debuff. I mean, technically it helps, but is it required at 200? No. I mean, do you need like Scrap at 200? I mean, you could use the extended supercharge bond. You get 5% instead of 7, so you get 2% extra supercharge recovery. Manacles, I don't even have this at 160. Orb, I use that at 120. So it's like all these artifacts. I mean, this is just a small section because I can't fit that many in my inventory. But I mean, there's very few artifacts that you require 200 to even be beneficial. You can get away with lower ranks. Solar Amplifier, once again, you could keep it at 160 if you want, but same thing, 200 you get the base might stats. That's why I got it. If you go back to my previous guides, like in February, March, I only have the 160 solar. I got it just for the extra stats. So it's still just as effective as an artifact as it was before. Now we can actually get some balance around some range AoE power sets. So that's kind of like my final take on heat vision. You know, you can put in the comment section how you feel about it, if you're quitting the game because they're changing artifacts, or you still demand money to switch this artifact to something else, and then all of a sudden you're going to suck on boss damage and say, Obsidian, what do I do on single target now that I don't have heat vision? Well, that's your fault. So there it is, guys. We'll see you in the next video.